I'm so excited I found this!
He loves the Kwok. Hi, welcome to the Silver Spleen.
I'm Valerian Steele.
And I'm Valerie Beretta, and this is our review of The Monkey King 3.
Something Woman's Land.
They didn't
There's
translate
no subtitle. They didn't translate subtitle, so I'm like,
Right.
and that's important.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is one of my earliest viewers / commenters / supporters. He came to visit Hong Kong, not because of me, just, because of his family. But since he was here, I thought, why not go watch a movie together? And then since he was still here, I thought, why not do a review together? Because in this case, a movie like Monkey King 3, yeah, it has subtitles, and yeah, it's, kind of a Chinese New Year fantasy movie. But I'm always grateful for a chance to have some kind of, cultural context help. Because let's face it, I need it, because I'm not Chinese.
And Aaron Kwok's in it.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard to tell at first, because he's the one underneath all the Monkey King makeup, unlike in part 1 when he was underneath all the Bull King makeup. But yes, Aaron Kwok plays the Monkey King for the second time.
Yes.
Yes. And the rest of the cast is, I would say, probably a little less well-known, but that doesn't really matter.
Well, less well-known to us, because they are mostly mainland, character, mainland actors and actors.
Okay.
And, we are still,
Yes.
just not that up to stream, I guess.
Okay. I'm not sure what that means, but okay. So the story, yes, as you say, welcome to Womanland. In the story, somehow the Monkey King and the monk.
And the monk and the pig and even the horse, and so basically the whole gang of all 5 of them, they're taking the journey to the west. They're all in it.
And they end up somehow in a place where there are no men, there are only women. And the reason we say somehow is because it's one of those things that can be very easy to get confused by, because, how do I say this? We don't really understand how and why they end up there, but we do know that they can't get out. And it's a little difficult, I would think, in mythical terms, to have a place that you can get into really easily but can't get out of, especially when nobody mentions that later on. That nobody seems to wonder, how did they get in here? They just wonder, when will they leave, even though they can't leave, and the people that want them to leave know that they can't leave. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's Chinese New Year, so it's a little easier to put up with.
And I think the problem really about that point is just, I was actually very curious to find out why and how was that like a predestined reason that they should end up there, or there may be some kind of like a forces that want them to be there.
Right.
We never got the explanation.
No.
And we didn't need, and I'm someone, and we all are watching movie. We want to know what's the motivation behind any of this. Why are these things happening? That's what keeps the movie engaging.
Right.
But of course, there's Aaron Kwok, so it's okay. It's still okay.
But that is the thing, like the way they end up there seems very random or accidental. And you kind of wonder why. Like if it was intentional, or if somebody goes, aha, I brought you here for such a, that would have made it easier to understand. But, I didn't really watch this movie for the story. I watched it because, to be honest, I enjoyed the second one, Monkey King 2, in case you were keeping score. And I even didn't mind the first one, with Donnie Yen as the Monkey King. But for me, the big thing about this movie was the visuals. And I noticed, for example, in the opening credits, all the stuff that you see going on, it's a bit hard for me to explain how this works. Now, what you're seeing is obviously not real. But at the same time, it just looked really nice. It didn't necessarily, you can't say it looked convincing because it was trying to show you stuff that can't possibly exist. But it was very detailed, very nice. And, I always say good visual effects are expensive and cheap visual effects look like ass. So it's important to me to mention the fact that all the visuals in this movie did look really nice. They were so nice. Now, we didn't watch it in 3D.
Because we are cheap.
Yeah, exactly. But I can honestly say if I had been watching it in 3D, not only would I not have minded, I think I might have actually enjoyed it. There's always some of those, 3D shots where they have to make sure that this is for the 3D people. But overall, just the visuals of it were really, really impressive. Even down to the level of, like, I found myself noticing the detail on the costumes. The costumes looked really nice because now with high definition and, in close-ups, you can really get a close look at that stuff. And it looked very nice. And I just kind of felt like I should mention that because to me, this movie is a lot of fun visually. We're not sure about the story, but it looked really nice.
Yeah, and the acting's actually, I want to say, decent.
It worked for me. I mean, it probably helps me that I'm not really familiar with the story or the characters, and we saw it dubbed into Cantonese, so it kind of throws things off that way a little bit. But yeah, I thought the acting was quite good.
And actually, about the dubbing part, the Hong Kong Cantonese actors and actresses, they dub their own voice. So that's for us. For me, I understand, since I know Cantonese. I enjoy that. And then they have like some, I believe, for example, I think Jan Lam from the Soft Heart Yun Yang. He was the one who dubbed the voice for the pig character, and I think he did a fantastic job. He makes that character much more funnier.
Right. And every now and then I noticed there would be a line in Mandarin. I didn't understand why, but like maybe 3 times, for some reason, there would be a line of dialogue that was in the original Mandarin. I'm
guessing that joke only makes sense in Mandarin.
It's possible.
I think that's the reason.
Very possible.
Although whatever.
And speaking of jokes and acting, we both thought it was very funny that there's a Best Actor joke played on. I mean, it becomes a line of dialogue like, "Oh, you're the best actor," and it was aimed at the Monkey King, aka Aaron Kwok. So I thought that was very funny. I think Gigi Leung deserves credit for her acting because she was really 2 things. One, she was very unlikable, which is new for people that watch Gigi Leung. It's rare to watch her play that much of an unlikable person, and the sort of the makeup and hairdo they had her in, she kind of looked like Cruella de Wang, or like you said, she looked like
exactly Karina Lau as the Empress in the Detective D movies.
It was really strange but entertaining because it was just such an odd look for her, or I guess for anybody.
I still wish to know why they shaved her head. I would like to know.
Yeah, but you know, the thing with this movie is once you start thinking, you either realize you're not going to get answers, or the answers you do get are a little, I don't want to say I'll say problematic. The idea is that naturally the leader of Womanland, who's never seen a man in her whole life, you know, the first man she meets, she falls in love with him. Of course she does, because the movie was directed and written by men. And the joke that I was going to make is I would love to see this movie done with exactly the same script, but you put someone like Lam Sut to play the monk so that the first man she sees is him. And I'm not saying he's not a lovely human being. I've met him. I'm just saying that he's not necessarily someone you're going to cast as the romantic lead, but that would have made it interesting. Because if you're going to fall in love with the first man you see, then see what happens.
Could have been the pig character.
Exactly,
so
yeah.
You know, it doesn't have to be the handsome...
The pig or what's his face, Deep in that blue makeup. Yeah. It could have been anybody.
Yeah.
Could have been the Monkey King.
Or the horse.
Yeah, exactly. So it's always... You know, in this whole thing of like, oh, we hate men. Why do you hate men? Just because there aren't any? That doesn't make sense. You should be happy if there aren't any. And yeah, there's a whole bunch of that stuff that if you get into gender roles and all that kind of stuff, it gets a little weird. But like I said, you know, it was written and directed by men, so what are you going to do?
And I wish there's a woman here giving her view, just
exactly.
So you know, so you know, we want the fair and balance.
Exactly, yeah, because it would make more sense that way. You know, there's nothing, how do I explain that? The only slightly sexual thing in the whole movie is this other situation that's really weird. We couldn't be sure what was going on.
Yeah, and we thought it means something, but then we look it up, we talk to other people supposed more knowledge about this.
Yeah.
And we cannot get an answer.
Yeah, how do I explain this? Because we don't want to spoil anything. But apparently the idea of a river has absolutely nothing to do with lesbianism in Chinese culture, and I know that because I checked.
And it has something to do with the movie,
right?
For some reason.
Of course, now I bet at least half the people watching this are now, oh, I gotta watch that movie. It's not like you think. It's very confusing, but interesting, and I guess it's one of those things that if there was a little bit more information, it might have actually been more emotionally affecting, maybe? I don't know.
One of those things that I would have liked to know the motivation behind all that, and just not there.
It just wasn't. It really wasn't. So, yeah. But then, okay, speaking of those kinds of issues, I found it kind of funny that there's an actual place in the story, an actual geographic location that's called the Miscarriage Cave. And it was just, yeah, like, really? You're going to just... I mean, in a way, I admire how honest it was, but it was just a bit strange. The whole movie kind of it has this interesting premise and it moves along nicely, and yeah, there's some problems with certain issues of representation, but then like in the third act it just seemed to kind of lose focus, and I was having a hard time understanding why things happened, except that in more than one case it certainly made it easy to suddenly have large CGI festival type violence and spectacle.
It's like in some scenes the Monkey King is kind of helpless, but in some other scene he's a savior.
Yeah.
And it's never explained why in some scenes it's one way and in some scenes it's another.
Yeah.
But I guess because it's Aaron Kwok, he can do no wrong.
Exactly. And again, it was very interesting
This guy
to watch.
can do no wrong.
Of course,
so you know.
So it's a hard thing to say. Like, on one hand, I would certainly encourage people to watch this movie in 3D in a cinema, nice and big and loud, because it's fun to look at. And there are some interesting sort of questions and situations posed early on in the film, but then it kind of just seemed to lose focus. But it just seemed weird. In a way, it's kind of good when a movie leaves you with some questions at the end, but I think I would have preferred to have at least some of them answered.
Not those questions.
Yeah, not all
not
of
those questions.
not all
Oh
of
my
them,
god.
yeah.
No.
Yeah, exactly. What are they doing? Yeah, so that was a bit weird. But I guess, you know, it did make me ask people things I wouldn't normally ask and try to find out about things that I wouldn't normally look into. So I guess on that level, it was a good movie.
Yeah. Well, C+ for the movie, I would say. C+, B- for the movie.
Yeah.
A++ for Aaron Kwok. That's because I'm biased.
Yeah, exactly. But you can admit that today. That's the
yeah.
important thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's an interesting film. And again, all things considered, you know, for Chinese New Year, it's easy to cut movies a lot of slack. I enjoyed it. I don't necessarily think we need a Monkey King 4.
But they are already telling us in the movie
That's
that
right, yeah.
there will be another one.
Yeah, because it's a big book, I guess. And it was also nice that at least they're taking a very old franchise and trying to do some kind of new things with it. Although, didn't you say this? It's kind of, because I didn't watch Wonder Woman, but he did, and
At the beginning, it feels, the whole setup feels like Wonder Woman, but somehow Wonder Woman is has more feminist element in it, I would say.
well, probably yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, I don't know because I didn't watch that movie. But so anything else you wanted to mention about the film?
I just think that like maybe that's I don't remember the Journey to the West, the whole book. I read some of it when I was a kid.
Okay.
I do like the fact that this movie is using a story. If this story was in the book, which I would guess it is, they are using a story that not the most famous story in the book, which in a way that's good. Right. I'm tired of seeing the Ox King. I'm tired of seeing how the Monkey King just make a mess in the Kingdom Heaven. So it's refreshing to see a story from this famous book that is not the usual ones, not the usual suspects.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So on that level, like I said, to me, it kind of earns points for its newness. I can recommend it as a Chinese New Year movie just because it's a lot of fun to watch. And especially, like I said, if you get a chance, watch it in 3D. Right?
Same here.
Okay.
Definitely watch it in a theater.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad I did.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
In Hong Kong.
Definitely. But whatever you do, don't steal the movie. Okay, I'm sure somebody somehow is going to find a way to put it on YouTube. Just don't. Pay for it like the rest of us. All right?
We did.
I don't know what's wrong with me. Suddenly I'm Brenda Vaccaro. I don't know. That's an old reference. So yeah, don't steal this or any other movie. When it gets released to home video, I'll update the description with a link where you could buy a copy of a Blu-ray or a DVD. I strongly encourage that instead of thievery. So if you enjoyed this review...
Subscribe.
Well, okay, but just this particular review...
Oh, like this movie, like this review, share it, and subscribe to his channel.
Or leave me a comment. And if you don't enjoy this review, leave me a comment, but try to at least base it in some kind of logical fact.
And
but yeah,
Aaron Kwok, if you want to get in touch with me, contact Sean.
why is he going to contact me?
You're my... Well,
Oh, I'm your agent. Okay.
Exactly, there you go.
Yes, I'm in charge here, apparently. All right, so yes, and if you enjoy the channel, please subscribe. Thank you for watching, and because it's that time of year again, Gong Hei Fa Choi.
利是逗來。